Hi. Alright, let's do this thing. Make a coffee. Tasty coffee. Got a fussy cat over there. And... oh, I gotta let that drip for a second. We're not going live at 30. I am not moving efficiently this morning. Was not ready. Was not ready for a show. It happens. It happens. Come on. Alright. And here we go in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. I can already tell you're going to try and sit behind me. Don't do it. Whiskers are wet. Well, went to bed a little later than normal. Was up watching some TV, and had a pretty good day. Went to the gym, got a ton of work done. Hopefully today continues that. It's going to be another nice day. Yesterday was 80 here in Vermont, and we're supposed to do that again today, and I think also tomorrow. We'll see. If I can get my work done, and if the weather holds, I might get out on the motorcycle for a little bit, go for a short ride. We'll see. I hope whatever it is you did yesterday was good, whatever that might be. If this was a studio show with multiple cameras, I would imagine that we would keep one on the cat full time and just cut back and forth to her, or maybe even split screen. Because she's silly and adorable. And sometimes literally the reason I get out of bed. Not that I wouldn't get out of bed otherwise. But sometimes I get out of bed earlier than I choose to. Because of her. What's going on today? Any highlights from yesterday? Oh, I had a great podcast episode yesterday. I had a discussion with someone who is kind of a unique intersection of martial arts and something else. And we talked about that something else, as well as martial arts, and it was a good conversation. I got a lot out of it personally. So I'm guessing most of you will get something out of it as well. What else happened? Brought some grapes over to my neighbor. I've only got one neighbor that borders my property. Well, I guess I have two, but only one that I even talk to. I've got the woods back there, and I think I don't know who owns that, but they live a couple houses down, and I don't have much interaction with them, other than waving. But my next door neighbor, I haven't had much contact with them this summer, and so I bagged up some grapes, picked some grapes off the vine, and brought those over. Really just as an excuse to say hi and talk to them. And found out that the wife has her second bout with breast cancer, and she had double pneumonia, and just like, it's not good. And her husband's standing there telling me all this, and you know, you can tell he's trying not to fall apart. And I felt bad. Just wanted to give him a hug, but we're not there. We're not even close to there. So I just listened and made a mental note to keep an eye on them. And they've got kids that live in the area, so they're taken care of, but I still feel bad. What are you stalking? That was a car. You're a cat. What's that old saying? I don't know where this one comes from. Is it? I think it's an African proverb. I've said it before. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And they strike me as a couple who have been much farther together. So, anything else going on today? Client call, and then two people from kind of within the Whistlekick community. One is in orbit, and one looks like, well, our call is about him stepping up and doing more, and I'm excited to see how that goes, because he is the perfect person. So, yeah. What else? I feel like there's more, but I can't think of it. I hate that feeling. Oh well. Let's see what you all wrote in. Reminder, if you want me to respond to something, drop it below, and I will respond to it tomorrow. Leave it in the comments after the show's over. Apparently you can't do that during the show. And today we have stuff from, come on, load. We've got stuff from Frank and from Daniel, as well as spam that I removed. If you cannot be a poet, be the poem. David Carradine. Of course, David Carradine, the famed actor of the TV show Kung Fu. If you cannot be a poet, be the poem. I mean, that quote applies to him. He didn't invent the TV series, he didn't design the TV series, but he started it. He was, when people think of Kung Fu, they don't think of the writers, they think of the actor. They think of the poem, the story. And it reminds me of another famous quote, quote, "There are no small parts." We all have a role to play. Each of you has a role to play in my life. Even if it's just watching this show. That seems small, and in one sense it is. But what if nobody had watched this show? Wouldn't keep doing this show? What about all the benefits I've taken from this show? What about all the things that this show has led to and is still leading to in my personal life and within Whistlekick? If those of you who watched, and let's face it, most of you are little more to this show from the show side than a number right there. Statistically, most of you don't leave comments, and that's okay. I'm not criticizing. I'm not trying to suggest that it is not valued. I very much value. Oh, I cut my hair. You can probably tell. I'm merely trying to point out that sometimes what we see as a very small aspect can be pretty significant, especially over time, especially in unity with other small aspects. So if you can't be the poet, be the poem. Play your part. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor man perfected without trials. Confucius. Yeah. We learn by making mistakes. Show me a valuable lesson, truly valuable, one that is significant, that you didn't learn without some involvement from a mistake. We learn about who we are, who we want to be, how not to build this or drive that or associate with these people or that person or watch this, or in martial arts. Do this block when that person throws that strike. We learn by making mistakes. The friction, the rough color that occurs in our lives. We learn by making mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to do things that don't work out. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's something I wish we encouraged more. Because what is a mistake? A mistake is you tried something that you weren't certain of, and it didn't work out, but you learned something. My life is full of mistakes. So many. I could sit down and, maybe I'll write a book on them someday. I could write a book of all my mistakes. Plenty of them. Romantic ones, business ones, personal ones, health. We're all just trying to find our own place in the world. But our roles, our parts, no matter how large or small, they don't come with a manual. We don't have lines that we get to read. We're carving ourselves a spot in real time. And that can be messy. Because not everybody remembers their lines that don't exist. Patience is more important and more effective than courage. Oh. Patience is more effective than courage, and more important and more effective than courage. All right, so let's play that out. If you've got a situation, and you could either be patient or you could be courageous. What do we think about when we think courageous? We think dramatic action. We think intense. We think fast. If I couple that with Gabe's writing, and Jenny says mistakes are proof you are trying. I like that. If you're not making any mistakes, you're definitely not trying. If we combine this notion with our other quotes for the day, and shout out to Frank for such a great theme with these quotes. I assume he knows what he's doing when he puts these together. If we combine these quotes together, we can see that being patient is less likely to lead to a mistake. Being courageous is more likely to lead to a mistake. So, I think we can give the nod to being patient. Now, honestly, this is something that's taken me a long time to learn. I have always been very quick to act. I want to get it done. I want to check the box off. I want to put it aside. And that led to a lot of very poor outcomes, personally and professionally. I have learned to be patient when it's appropriate. And most of the time it's appropriate. I don't have to send that email right away. I don't have to get that thing done right now. I don't have to lose sleep to do all these things. I can be patient. I can prioritize. I can wait and see if that thing is even as important as it sounds. You know, one of my strategies with email, as ridiculous as this sounds, I'm at a point now where I have so much email, so much work to do, that there are emails that I just delete. Because if the person really wants to talk to me or needs to talk to me, they'll write me back. If it matters, it'll come back up. There are times that I have ideas where I say, you know what, that's a pretty good idea. And if it's an idea, I can't implement it now. If it's an idea worth having, it'll show up again. It's been really helpful to let some of these things go. To be patient means you can figure out where you're going. You know, if you're rushing around, if you're being courageous, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to burn a lot of energy and risk taking a longer path. We'll see. Our last one from Frank today. As martial arts practitioners, we are not the type of people who allow life to happen to us. We are the author of our own lives. J. Haynes. I don't have a lot to add to that one. I'll read it again, though. As martial arts practitioners, we are not the type of people who allow life to happen to us. Happen to us. We are the author of our own lives. I agree. I don't let anyone dictate what I do. You can probably tell. So I work for myself. So I've really always worked for myself. When I've worked for other people, most of the time that hasn't worked out. But I figure it out. That's all you can do is figure it out. And just keep chipping away, keep finding a way forward. And based on your mistakes, you come up with a new path. If you're patient enough, you can see what your options are. These all go together. Good stuff. And a completely different style of question coming from Daniel, who I had accidentally blocked. Sorry. Okay, so now my comments can be seen again. Let's try this question thing once more. So I'm sure we've all seen Cobra Kai by now. Those who haven't should, and I agree. What do you think are the pros and cons of the two differing training styles in the show, and would you rather train at Daniel LaRusso's Miyagi-Do or Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai? Well, one of the Facebook groups I'm part of was posing a similar style of basically this question in a slightly different fashion. And my response was, do I have to pick from, are those my only two choices? Because in the show, and actually in the question in this Facebook group, the question was around teaching style. And Johnny and Daniel are two of the most flawed martial arts instructors I've ever seen. They are ridiculous. Their insecurities, their inability to construct new methods simply to basically regurgitate what they were taught shows understanding of the material, but very little understanding of how teaching works. I'm going to make sure I don't give anything away with this. If we take a look at the way Johnny teaches at Cobra Kai, it's rough, it's aggressive, it is going to appeal to a very small percentage of people. But those people will likely thrive in that environment. There are people who appreciate negative reinforcement and need to be pushed very, very hard. I can operate well for a very short period of time in that kind of environment. I would not thrive there. What are you doing, Fuzz? On the flip side, Daniel has everybody doing these super boring, super traditional, incredibly repetitive tasks. Because that's the really old way. And that can be very effective. but it doesn't speak to what most people are going to handle today. It's a more positive environment, so that's probably where I would go if I had to pick between the two. It's funny, in that universe, I'm probably the third school in the area that everybody else labels a McDojo because my students end up happy and enjoy coming to class and aren't getting in fights with each other at school. It's a great show. It really is a great show. And I love the fact that it is done so well on Netflix and exposed so many people to the show. I hope season 3 is as good. I hope it becomes a positive influence on the martial arts. I don't know that it has been yet. We'll find out. What school would you want to train at? Would you rather train at Cobra Kai? Would you rather train at Miyagi-Do? Daniel says, I agree, I'd be with you at the third school. We, it's a great mental exercise, especially if you're an instructor, to really look at these two examples and identify what is it that resonates for you in each. Do you like this or do you like that? How do you teach? How do you learn? I guess it's a great example for anyone. I don't like these A-B. How's my stomach? I don't like these A-B choices. Just generally. I mean, I'll play the philosophical game. But I think all too often we get bogged down in believing that everything has to be this or that. And we see that everywhere. We see that in politics. We see that in every major issue. We see that in the way people are treating each other. You're either with me or against me, things like that. Most things are neutral. They're in the middle. They're the gray area. They are irrelevant. Most people's actions have nothing to do with you. They are really about themselves. If we're the lead character in our own movie, everybody else is supporting cast in our movie, but they are the star in theirs. And that's something that I keep coming back to because it keeps illustrating for me that my initial reactions to the actions that some people take, they're not about me, they're about them. And how I respond to that, that's my choice. I have full control over that. Sometimes the people that I feel have wronged me, they were just doing what was right for them. It may not have been considerate of me, and in that case, I may choose to not associate with that person or people in the same way. But it doesn't mean I need to take vengeance, rain down hellfire. Obviously, figuratively. My stomach is making weird noises. All right. I think that's enough unpacking of these questions. Good stuff today. Thank you to Frank. Thank you to Daniel. If you have questions, if you have comments, quotes, stories, whatever, once the show's over, drop them below in the comment section and I will respond to them tomorrow. We do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, here on YouTube. You can catch it later in audio form. And don't forget to go to whistlekick.com, see everything that we're doing. You can buy something in the store if you do use the code podcast15. Now that that book is done, that guide with respect to the programs over there, I'm going to be turning my attention back to the programs that are live and making some improvements. Why am I mentioning that? Because as we improve the programs, the prices go up. So you may, if you've been thinking about getting one of those, you may want to grab that now because the price isn't going down. And finally, the other way you can help the show, Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. More exclusive content, and we're even working on putting together a Patreon exclusive show. So, working on some concept for that. Go ahead, check it out, and we'll go from there. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic day. Peace.